It's the fairy tale that made us swoon, laugh, and quote endlessly, but hidden beneath the jokes is a sly feminist wink you might not have noticed. Today we're unpacking how The Princess Bride flips the script on fairy tale women. The Princess Bride isn't just a fairy tale, it's a fairy tale about fairy tales. William Goldman's 1973 novel pretends to be an abridged version of a much longer history book, skipping the boring parts and keeping only the good bits. Rob Reiner's 1987 film keeps that same mischievous energy, framing the story as a bedtime reading by a grandfather to his skeptical grandson. The movie itself feels like a mashup of every classic fantasy trope. Buttercup, a farm girl in love with the stable boy Wesley, presumed dead at sea, forcing Buttercup into a politically convenient engagement with the scheming Prince Humperdinck. And of course, the kidnappings, duels, poison, and miraculous resurrections along the way. On the surface, it's all dashing swordsmen and dastardly villains. But underneath the adventure, the film sneaks in a kind of feminist humor, with women who undercut the pomposity of the men around them by making the right joke at the right time. Buttercup is often accused of being a passive character, but her power lies in how she refuses to play along with the script written for her. Her humor isn't flashy, it's pointed. When the dread pirate Roberts threatens her, she doesn't break down in fear. She accuses him of mocking her pain, cutting through his theatrical menace with a line that forces him to take her feelings seriously. And Buttercup is even sharper when it comes to Humperdinck. He spins grand lies about rescue missions and his supposed devotion, but she slices through his facade. Instead of swooning at his declarations, she calmly exposes his hypocrisy. That deadpan honesty undermines his entire performance as the noble prince. Even her early relationship with Wesley flips expectations. She orders him around while he answers with the now iconic,
"As you wish."
On the surface, it's devotion, but the dynamic hides a subtle reversal. She commands, he obeys, and their romance begins with a gender-flipped punchline. If Buttercup dismantles power through sarcasm, Valerie, Miracle Max's wife, does it with sheer efficiency. She's the one who makes the miracle shop run, while Max blusters about his genius. Their back and forth feels like decades of practice comedy, with Valerie playing the so-called nagging wife, except she's the one keeping everything from falling apart. Her famous send-off, "Have fun storming the castle," lands as a gag, but it's also proof of her authority. She knows the stakes better than Max does. She understands the miracle business, the limitations of magic, and the logistics of resurrection. Valerie embodies a classic trope. The man takes the credit, but the woman actually makes the miracle happen. What links Buttercup and Valerie is how they use humor as armor. In worlds where men have the titles, weapons, or kingdoms, their wit becomes a survival skill. Buttercup doesn't have the sword, but she has the line that punctures Humperdinck's ego. Valerie doesn't wear the miracle worker title, but she has the quips that reveal who's really in charge. It's a reminder that comedy has always been one of the safest ways for women to critique power. Jane Austen's heroines did it with irony. Screwball comedy heroines did it with banter. Buttercup and Valerie carry that tradition forward into a fantasy setting, wielding jokes like weapons that leave no visible wounds but plenty of bruised pride. The connection to Austen is more than coincidence. Elizabeth Bennet teases Darcy out of his pride the same way Buttercup slices through Humperdinck's lies. Both stories disguise social critique inside sparkling dialogue. In Austen's drawing rooms, as in Reiner's fairy tale, humor makes resistance palatable. By packaging these moments inside a swashbuckling love story, The Princess Bride allows audiences to laugh at male foolishness without necessarily questioning the genre itself. It's still a fairy tale, but one where the women get the last word. This is also where the film gets clever about its own genre. It presents all the traditional fairy tale trimmings: gallant heroes, evil princes, imperiled princesses, then lets its women undercut them. Their humor doesn't break the fantasy, it grounds it. The grand adventure still happens, but with a wink that admits the tropes don't always hold up under scrutiny. It's a fairy tale that knows fairy tales can be ridiculous. What makes this all so enduring is how quotable these women are. Fans repeat Buttercup's lines not because she's fragile, but because she's sharp. Valerie's lines makes the most of her limited screen time, and these jokes become cultural shorthand, survival tips tucked inside comedy. Generations of viewers learn, consciously or not, that humor can be a form of agency. A cutting observation can do as much as a sword fight. A deadpan remark can deflate the grandest male performance. Through laughter, Buttercup and Valerie carve out space in a story that might otherwise sideline them. So yes, the sharpest weapon in The Princess Bride is indeed made of wit, not steel. Through Buttercup's dry defiance and Valerie's sharp-tongued competence, the film joins a proud tradition of women wielding humor as rebellion. Their comedy doesn't destroy the fairy tale, it makes it honest, revealing that some sometimes the most powerful magic is simply refusing to take masculine pomposity seriously. This is Ladies First, watching women in movies. Here, we empower women by reviewing and discussing films that highlight their stories, struggles, and achievements. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments.